Hello, welcome, and thank you for watching this month's Tarot Talk. I'm intuitive reader Bryan Stafford from Stafford Tarot, and today's Tarot Talk topic is going to be about the Fool's Journey. It's a style of reading that I like to call the path that I teach in my workshop, and I'm going to go through sort of the higher arcana real quickly to show you a really quick um, preview of the understanding of the path of the tarot. Now, before we get into that, I'm just going to give some time for some viewers to join me on this live broadcast by talking a little bit about what's new in Stafford Tarot and Soul Intention and some of the upcoming events to look forward to. And then we'll get into that Tarot Talk topic. And then I'll be offering up to 6 free short remote readings sessions for anyone who shows interest in the chat during this broadcast. Now, if you're watching this from my website and you're just wanting to see some of the sample readings, feel free to skip ahead about 20-30 minutes as I will be offering those free readings later in the broadcast. First, though, what's new with Stafford Tarot and Soul Intention? Well, with Stafford Tarot, I'm always going to be offering those free public moon oracle card pulls on my website, www.staffordtarot.com. The new moon oracle pull comes out on December 18th, 2025. Check that out. The full moon oracle pull for December 4th has already released. That is the reading for the energies between the moon phases. And so if that's helpful for you, check it out and see if that resonates. Otherwise, wait for the next one to come out perhaps and see if that resonates with you more towards the moon phase. But it's in hope that those public readings help anyone who's interested to gain some guidance about the energetic interactions of the time and in the moment. I'm also going to be offering the monthly draw. Of course, the next one's going to be happening on December 15th, 2025. The draw roughly happens around 10 to 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. You have until then to let me know that you're interested. Many people who, if I post about the draw, if they like, comment, or share that post, they're automatically included in that draw. Now, it's a 1 in 5 chance to win, so there is opportunity there. It's literally a draw where I take all the names, put them into a hat, and pull out the winners. I do not do that live or on a broadcast just to keep the names private and personal because sometimes people come to me for readings confidentially, and I respect that. So if you are a winner, you will hear from me. I will send you a message or an email. Otherwise, better luck next time. I do the draws monthly. The next draw after into the new year will be happening on January 19th, 2026. So you can always get involved. In the store at Soul Intention in Guelph, Ontario, we have so much happening. First of all, the weekly services happening all week long. You can get charm runes, tarot, tea leaf readings, either by Cindy Cole or myself, Bryan Stafford. On Tuesdays, we have Janice Moffat for mediumship sessions. On Wednesday, we have Reiki sessions with Marcela Riveros. On Thursday, we have astrology readings with Christine Weil. And on Saturdays, we have palm reading sessions with Maxine Pashnin. Really looking forward to more service providers joining us into the new year, as well as other workshops that'll be taking place here at Soul Intention. We have the candle making workshop for kids that's coming up. This is in preparation for the holidays. All of that information is available on the website soulintention1111.ca. You can click on events and you can see everything that's coming up, and you can even click on the event and then go into the register button and subscribe for that event, and then you're automatically your spot is automatically booked and saved, and you pay when you show up that day for the event. So it's just a way of making us aware of the numbers for that event and reserving your spot so that you're guaranteed to participate. Some of the events do fill up, so I do suggest registering to guarantee your spot. We do have a holiday market coming up on December 13th. I'll be in Grassy, Ontario for the Witches Market, the Enchanted Holiday Market. It's free admission. The market runs from 4 to 9. I will be offering readings and free one-card impression pulls to anyone who shows interest, comes and sees me at the market. So feel free to come over, say hi, and receive that one-card impression pull. And if you want more insight or want to go more in depth, you can always get a short reading or a full reading, depending on the availability and what you'd like. And my Tarot Talk Live event will be coming up again on June, oh my gosh, January 13th, 2026. It starts about 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, and that is going to be about resolution readings, using cards looking for advice moving forward. We're going to talk about that briefly on January 13th, 2026. Now, this tarot talk is about the Fool's Journey. And so let's get into that. Now, the Fool's Journey is all about the higher arcana and understanding the order of that, those cards. Now, if you understand what I'm talking about, the higher arcanas are the cards that just have a picture and a number and a little name, or a number and a little name. There's really the understanding comes from the imagery and the symbolisms in the card itself. And so the Fool card is often about the interpersonal, the growth, the challenge, the transformation, the journey. And so it represents the person going through the journey. I would often look at this like the person in the reading itself, but to each his own. So when we look at the order of the higher arcana, when the Fool goes through that path, consider the Fool going through the order of the higher arcana. So when the Fool reaches the Magician card, for example, the Magician card is all about willpower and manifesting change, learning to use one's inner resources and skills to manifest into reality. Once the Fool masters the Magician, we get the High Priestess card, and the High Priestess card is all about intuition and inner wisdom, looking within, listening to the subconscious, valuing the mystery or the mysticism that's involved, listening to your intuition, understanding your instincts, and then moves us to the Empress card. And the Empress card is all about nurturing and abundance, experiencing the physical world in terms of like creativity or the power of the feminine expression. It can be a motherly card. It can also be about responsibility, like responsibility of others. Then we get the Emperor card, and the Emperor card, similar to the Priestess card, is often about responsibility, but also about structure and authority. And so this would be about like establishing boundaries, order, discipline, and self-control. Then we get the Hierophant card, often about tradition and learning, seeking guidance, can be teaching or social structures or expectations of society or education perhaps, but this structured form. You can see the development forming from the path that the Fool has taken so far in terms of manifesting a desire, following his intention, listening to these responsibilities or feminine masculine aspects of what he needs for himself, and then finding the way to do it. And that leads to the Lover's card, which is about choice and relationship, facing major decisions, seeking union perhaps, or learning about personal values in yourself. Growth and development, leading to the Chariot card, all about triumph and will, achieving mastery, a mystery, driving forward with determination, or reaching that success. What's the goal? What is the drive? Kind of like guiding your way through life, asserting that independence. And this is sort of the conscious part of the path, the interactions of the outer world. And now we start to get into the unconscious part of the path, the inner part of the world. And so we get the Strength card. Now, the Strength card is all about inner courage and patience and um, resolve and inner fortitude, or like taming one's inner desires, hence the lion being tamed. Leading to the Hermit card, going within, doing that introspective and self-guidance, and retreating from the outer world, finding that self-reflection. Sometimes it's about personal growth, because often connected with that self-reflection. I like to connect that card with shadow work. Leading to the Wheel of Fortune, often about destiny and cycles, and understanding the rhythmic, ever-changing nature of whatever is the topic is about. So the challenge or fate or the change taking place. This card can also represent like time frame. If you think about the wheel of the year being like the Wheel of Fortune. And then the Justice card, often about like cause and effect, seeking justice or learning from fairness or having accountability, balance and actions. Can be often about what's heavy on your mind and the mindset that has to be created for it. And then we get the Hangman card. Now, the Hangman often looks reversed, but it's actually not. And it often stands for surrounding or creating a new perspective. I like to describe the Hangman as being stuck, but not really stuck. Like, he doesn't look scared. He kind of looks like he's waiting to be rescued. And that's choosing the whole process. Getting rid of an old view to gain a new one, or having enlightenment, perhaps. But it's really about a complete change in perspective. And then we start to get into the transformation and ending, realizing what serves you and what doesn't, and going through this huge embrace of necessary endings and rebirth that's going to, you won't even recognize who you are by the time you've gone through that cycle, with the Death card. And then the Temperance card being about balance and integration, finding that after going through this massive transformation, perhaps, but combining the desperate parts of oneself into a harmonious flow of mind, body, and spirit. And then we start to leave the unconscious world and inner world and join the third portion of the path, which is all about um, the super conscious, or the spiritual world, in other words. And it starts with the bondage and illusion of the Devil card. Now, there's a big misconception that the Devil card is about evil or death, which is completely not true. It's more about confronting yourself, or confronting attachments, having fear, or feeling trapped by fear, or material desires, or even having an um, being limited. Can be self-imposed limitations. This card has sometimes come up in readings for like drugs or alcohol abuse, because that is the opponent or the adversary that the person was up against. It's not necessarily about evil or darkness, but defeating those adversaries. And then the Tower, having upheaval and release, going through this, something that has to be destroyed or destructed in some way, a sudden experiencing of shattering false beliefs. So really getting into that spiritual work and development, and that leads to the Star card, all about hope and inspiration, finding your inner light, shining that inner light, skill, talent, something special about you. Often guidance after chaos, hence following the Tower card. Kind of trusting the future, going with the flow, and embracing the change. This point of the path, it's often the lessons are often the journey itself. And that leads to the Moon card, often about the intuition, instincts, illusion, and subconscious. This can be about a whole bunch of things in terms of spiritually navigating through your fears or dreams, hidden truths. can sometimes lead to uncertainty, but it's really about following your instincts, trusting your intuition, and allowing that to guide you through that uncertainty. And that leads us to the Sun card, often about healing, joy, clarity. Um, can be about happiness or vitality, clear vision, or radiant success. But can be about embracing your vulnerabilities and standing in that empowerment. And then the Judgment card being about this reckoning or awakening, something, a realization perhaps of a final accounting of a past where you get through something that you no longer bothers you in the present, or realizing a higher purpose or a new life, a new way of life perhaps. And then realizing the world, achieving integration, completeness, stepping into one's full realization of who you are, understanding the different perspectives that can help you. Again, nudity in tarot is often about vulnerability, and so stepping into that vulnerability while the world spirals around you and being okay with that, choosing how it goes from there. Um, and that is the path of the Fool that repeats itself over and over. So when you get to the World card and you realize this new way to be in this new perspective, it starts over again, where you can then choose your desire and manifest it. You follow your instincts, trust your intuition, and you go through the path once again. And it's a constant cycle and journey, hence the Fool's journey. So I do hope that's helpful. Let me know if you have any questions about that, or if you're more interested to learn about the tarot or the symbolisms that were created for the tarot. Check out my website, staffordtarot.com. I do have a workshop that can be taken independently or with a group, either online over Zoom or in person, at a place of your choice, or at my store at Soul Intention at 497 Woolwich Street in Guelph, Ontario, where you can learn the basic symbolisms and associations for the cards so that you can use your own intuition to expand on those messages and do your own self readings. So let me know. Good evening, Alex. Thank you so much for the message. I do hope I can be heard clearly. Let me know. And thank you so much, Nicole. A short reading? Absolutely. I can write you down, Nicole. You're my first reading tonight. And anyone else who might be interested, just write interested in the chat and send that away, and I will watch for those messages. I'll add you to the list. I do usually cap it at about 6 readings. Each reading takes about 15 minutes, and so doing up to 6 readings adds about an hour and a half to the broadcast. I think that's pretty fair and reasonable to not extend beyond that. So let me know, and I'll go in the order. And if for whatever reason somebody who's viewing who would like a reading and doesn't get a reading because I've reached that cap, just still let me know that you're interested, because I will throw you into the draw that's happening next week. Absolutely, Alex. Thank you so much. You'll be second. And Meg, absolutely. I'm just writing these names down on a list. And anyone else who might be interested, just let me know and I will add you to that list. I'll be watching for those names as we go through. And if there are any questions whatsoever during the readings, please feel free to write them in. I really don't mind. I'll watch for those messages as they come up. But in the event that I don't get the message, I don't see your message, or perhaps because sometimes it takes about 20 or 30 seconds by the time the message has been entered for me to see it come up on my screen, just repeat it, or let me know, or contact me afterwards if I don't acknowledge. I apologize if that happens. There has been reports of that in the past, simply because of the technology that we're using, and if the messages don't come through. So hopefully I receive all the messages tonight, and we won't have that issue. Now, let's get started with the 1-card impression poll. That's going to tell me 1 card about something in your energy in the moment, and then I'll move to a 3-card pull from my Morgan Greer deck, where I'll look at how the cards speak to each other to get those messages for you. And then we can move into 1 more deck, depending on where I could suggest the reading could go. So Nicole, if you're ready, just let me know that you're still on the call and that you have a topic or question you'd like me to focus on, or it can be left general. Quite often when readings are left general, the messages you need to hear are what show up on the table, but it's up to you if you want to refine what you're looking for from this reading session. So while I'm waiting for that message, I will start by a 1-card impression pull. Nicole, I'm just connecting with your energies and charging the cards with that intention. And what I'm really doing is getting an impression of your energies and asking the cards to confirm that. Business area, absolutely. Thank you so much. In your energy in the moment, I get the student card reversed. Now, this is the 3 of Pentacles. I often call it the student card because when it's not reversed, it often represents learning, having something to learn for yourself. And I can explain. 3 in numerology is about communicating something to yourself, and pentacles are about our needs, what we need for ourselves. That's why in tarot they often represent either health or finances, because really, what else do we need in life? But this is suggesting communicating something we need, and so often that's about something learning about what we need to, when we have to communicate it with ourselves to get what we need. When it's reversed, it means you're not the student, you have the knowledge. You'd probably be more considered the teacher than the student. So you have this knowledge at hand. Don't think you're the student. And I think that's why it's coming out reversed. I think you have a lot more experience than maybe you give yourself credit for. Now, business area, I'm just focusing on business area, and I'm charging the cards with that intention, just general about business. And I'll pull 3 cards and we'll look at how those cards speak to each other. Three cards are really interesting. They are all practical messages, but 1 court card in the very center. I feel like I need to lead up to that court card. The first card I'm going to start with is the 5 of Pentacles reversed. Here's what the card looks like in this tarot deck. 5 in numerology is often a pivotal point where we have to make a choice for ourselves, what's in our best interest, and we have to decide, do I move forward or do I go back with this? Like, what's in my best interest to do? And this is about what you need for yourself. Now, quite often when the card looks like this, it's often about being vulnerable, perhaps poverty or being taken advantage of, being injured in some way. When the card's flipped over like this, it means like putting a stop to that. Almost like you're not going to allow yourself to be taken advantage of. You're not going to allow yourself to be in this position. And so you're going to like stand up for yourself, and you're not going to get into this position. You're going to avoid it. So that's a very positive message, because that card's flipped or reversed, that I'm getting from this reading. Now, the next card I want to talk about is the 6 of Wands. It is not reversed, and this is often about holding your actions and being proud of the actions that you've taken. You can see here that this person's on his horse, and notice how his wreath is over his wand, and there's these other wands that are separate that are behind him. It's almost like a parade, and he's leading the parade and he's celebrating the actions that he's taken. And the wreath is really standing out for me in the card. And so, Nicole, I feel like intuitively that's telling me that you need to celebrate the actions that you've taken in terms of this business area. You've done things that you can feel really proud of, and so you need to celebrate that for yourself. You need to actually feel proud of it and give yourself the credit. Pat yourself on the back, or do what you need to do to celebrate that for yourself. The fact that this card is coming up suggests to me that you may not be doing that you're not giving yourself the full credit that you deserve. Now, the Queen of Swords is the court card that's jammed in the middle here. And this is often about making decisions in the best interest of what's heavy on your mind. Or in terms of this mindset, you have these choices to make, and these choices affect the people around you. Now, if this was reversed, it would mean not being able to make this choice, not being able to sit in the Queen of Swords position or throne for whatever reason. Something has to be resolved first, or more information, or something of that regard. Because it came out this way, Nicole, I think you can sit in this position. You can reign the Queen of Swords throne. It's just a matter of sitting in that throne and making these choices, doing the hard work. Now, the sword tells me that it's heavy on your mind, something really important to think about. And so this is crafty and needs to be done carefully, but you can do this, or it would have come out reversed. Now, when I look at this reading as a whole with 2 wands, a sword, and a pentacle on the table so far, it's interesting that there's no cup that's come out. And I think you have this passion in this business area, Nicole. You don't need to be guided in emotion, or you'd have cups showing up on the table. And so I really think that you can take that as a strength, that if you follow your heart, just trust your instincts, listen to that intuitive sense perhaps, that it will guide you well. I think you understand your emotions well, and that's why you're not receiving any cups so far. Now, I am wondering where I can move this reading further. I'd like to look at the energetic interaction of the business area that we're focused on here. So this is sort of a prediction or forecast part of the reading. And so I always have to say in anything relating to the future that the future is liquid. Nothing is set in stone. And so the actions that you take will help you prepare or change the outcome that is predicted in the cards, because I totally believe that we have our own choices to make, and we can change the perspective or destiny of, or be based on our choices. You know, if you don't like what it says about the future in your tarot reading, you can always prepare and make decisions now to avoid that moving forward. So really interesting cards have come out. Again, they are all practical cards with one court card on the table. Again, there's this pattern, right? Court card to practical or suit cards, court card to suit cards. When there's a repetitive pattern, it's usually the deck trying to reiterate or really get across this important message, okay? So I'm going to look at this because these 3 cards were the energetic interaction moving forward. And where to start? I think I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go in the order that they came out with those 2 practical cards moving up to that court card, okay? This is the ripeness card. It's the 9 of earth in this tarot structure, which is equivalent to a 9 of pentacles. It's the ripeness card. It's often about receiving the reward later. It's about putting in the work now to receive the reward later. You know, it uses the depiction of growing fruit. You have to plant the seed, you have to grow the tree, you have to nurture it, take care of it, all before it grows fruit. And then once it grows fruit, you have to ripen the fruit. It all has to be harvested. All that work has to be put in before you receive any reward. And so it's about putting in the work now to receive the reward later. And it's suggesting that that's the energetic interaction moving forward, that you're going to have to put in a lot of effort and a lot of work and to receive that reward upcoming. You're going to have to go the length, and this is the traveling card. This doesn't always represent physical travel, but it can. But what's really representing to me in the image is the path, and how the path steers through this range, and the amount of mist that is around it. Try and show the card as clear as I can, but the path is what's really standing out for me most, even though it's not very significant in the image. And so I have to follow my intuitive sense that this is more about the path that you take, and that it's this journey, and that you're going to have to travel the journey. So you may have this long road ahead, but as long as you put in that work, you're going to receive the reward later. And what I like about this is where it leads. The intensify card. This is often about taking really important action. The actions that you take lead you to the next step, and then you take more important action, and it just intensifies. So I feel like once you start this journey, I feel like the ball is just going to start rolling, and things are going to start developing, and things will slowly materialize and build and build and build and build. and intensify and grow. It seems to me like everything seems to be riding on all this work that has to be done first before you receive any reward in the process. And you're going to have to go the journey, but there seems to be this intensity in what you're doing. I think that this moving forward speaks very highly as long as you actually put in that work to reap that reward later. And of course, I need to point out what stands out for me most in these cards. And what stands out for me is the crescent moon that's kind of hidden amongst the tree branches there, or the leaves. And because that's standing out for me, I think if you just follow your intuitive sense, trust your instincts, that's going to guide you best in this. Again, no water, no cups, no emotions appearing on the table so far. So I really think that that's your strength, is how you feel about this, and allow your heart to guide you forward, Nicole. When I bring this reading right back to where you are now, with the student card being reversed, you're not the student in this. I think you understand what you need to do. I think you understand the process that's involved. It's just a matter of jumping in and doing it. Let me know if you have any final questions, Nicole, or if this is helpful. I do hope it's helpful. Thank you so much for getting a reading from me today. Now I'll be moving to Alex next. Alex, if you are on the call still and you have a question or topic you want me to focus on, just let me know. Otherwise, we can leave it general. Thank you so much for that message, Nicole, that the message resonated with you. And you're very welcome. So I'm just going to cleanse and decharge the decks, and then I'll move to Alex's reading. Thank you, Alex. I see that you're there. And if you have a question or topic you'd like me to focus on, otherwise I can leave it general. I'm just cleansing my last deck here. Okay, Alex, I'm going to start with that one card impression pull, and then I'll move to that topic or question. Alex, what I get for you is the Two of Cups. This card is often about choice, emotional choice, but for me, it's the people standing out in this sort of connection between them. And so I think this may be more about partnership than choice, emotional partnership, but it being reversed, it's almost like a partnership that's been disrupted or perhaps missing or not materializing, perhaps. But that's the kind of the feeling that's coming from the card. Now, let me know if that makes sense. I do see your message there, love life. So I'm going to focus on that moving forward. Um, I don't know if that card, the impression pull, answered your question, but I'm going to focus on that and see if we can get more clarity on that. Okay. Okay, so three cards, all practical. When all practical messages come out, it just tells me that they're not the more important themed messages. They're more practical messages. So adhering to what you need for yourself, perhaps, or how you're thinking about it, or the actions that you take, or the ways in which this feels. So I'm just going to go in the order that they came out. Um, this is the Seven of Swords. It often represents carrying more heaviness on your mind than what's necessary. Um, I wonder if perhaps you're overthinking something about love life. If you just let go of the thoughts that no longer serve you anymore, where you can see where this person's carrying so many of the swords and he's let some of them behind him and he's walking away from them. These swords don't serve him. They're either not his to carry, or they're not things that would be helpful for him to be thinking about. And so he has to let those things go so that he lightens his load and he can go forward. Now, notice that the swords that he's carrying are shaded. This is about shadow work. This is about understanding the things about yourself that you don't share and show with other people. And so it's really about understanding what's yours and what's not yours to carry. and it's suggesting that you need to, in terms of love life, you need to let go of some of these swords. You may be overthinking something or giving something too much thought, or you need to let go of some of that stuff that doesn't serve you. The Knight of Pentacles is about taking action in terms of what you need for yourself. Pentacles are about what you need for yourself, either health or finances. What's really standing out for me, though, Alex, is the armor itself of the Knight, and that's often about protecting ourselves, taking action to protect ourselves in terms of what we need for ourselves. And so there could be some important action that you need to take. Maybe this is what this is saying, is that it's nothing will materialize if you don't take that action, and so there's this action to be taken in terms of what you need for yourself. Don't allow yourself to be taken advantage of. That's what this card means when it's reversed. When you don't allow yourself to be taken advantage of, this card flips around and you're creating a balance of fairness. You appear very fair, very righteous, very um, um, creating that balance. But when it's this way, it means that there's this vulnerability, and you want to be careful with that, Alex, that you don't be taken advantage of in this. I think what this says is that you want to take action in terms of what you need, and there's this openness, perhaps, that you have that someone could really jump into. Just make sure that what you carry is your own, and that there's nothing selfish about putting yourself first. Now I'm wondering where I can extend on this reading further. I think it might be helpful to look at it from my heart chakra deck. This deck gives great insight in terms of what people need for themselves, like from a heart chakra standpoint. And that might be helpful for you, Alex, in terms of what you need for yourself. If I apply that to this reading, it may give good advice moving forward. Now I'm just charging the deck with that intention and keeping in mind the energies right from the beginning of the reading, but focusing in on asking this deck what you need for yourself. Now, 2 higher arcanas and a suit have come out. I'm just going to go in the order that they came out. I just feel important to do that. This is suggesting, Alex, that the advice moving forward in terms of love life is that you don't actually have to put in a dedicated effort. I really think that what this says is that you have probably qualities that would pick up the attention of other people. You probably gain attention maybe without realizing it. But this is about interaction. It's about reaching the success through the actions that you take. And when it's reversed, it often represents not having to put in a lot of action to reach that success. So not necessarily needing some dedicated effort to pull this off, so to speak. I think you may be hard on yourself because that card's come out. Now, what also makes me feel like what may mean that you're hard on yourself is that this card has come out reversed. Now, this is the next card I want to talk about. It's usually called the Trust card. It looks like this. This is equivalent to the Fool card in the regular tarot structure, but in the Heart Chakra deck, it's looked at as being the Trust card. Now, when it's reversed, it's about not trusting yourself, and so the advice moving forward in this card is about you have to trust yourself. You have to show yourself that confidence. When you start to trust yourself and you believe in yourself, this card flips around and you're in that confidence. You're trusting yourself. You can see this person almost taking a leap of faith, in just believing that they understand what's ahead of them. Right now, your card's reversed, meaning that you need to trust in yourself. You have to realize the empowerment within you. And the next card is the Love card. Now, this card is about how we interact with others. Interestingly enough, it's very similar to the card that's come out in the Two of Cups. Now, this is not considered the Two of Cups. It's actually considered the 6th higher arcana in this tarot structure. But the symbolisms that stand out for me are the same. I really think you just need to trust that when you get out and you meet new people, these opportunities present themselves, or perhaps there is this relationship that could form. There seems to be advice moving forward to consider some sort of relationship or interaction with someone else. So keep that in mind, Alex. I'm not sure if there's a potential love interest, or if that there's an opportunity perhaps, or maybe someone who you've caught the eye of that you didn't realize. And maybe that's why this card is reversed in the moment. If you don't realize it, this partnership isn't going to materialize. It's when you realize it that it'll flip around. I hope that this all makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions about what's come out here. Oh, thank you for that comment there, Alex. It makes sense. I really appreciate that. Just that confirmation that I'm on the right track. I do hope this is helpful. Thank you so much for getting your reading from me. Now, Meg, if you're on the call still, let me know. And if you have a topic or question, we can move on to next. Otherwise, we can leave it general. Oh, thank you for that comment, Alex. Adds a little clarity to this. You're leaving one relationship. That would explain then why in your in the moment, the one card impression pull is the Two of Cups reversed. The complication of the relationship. I see. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I know that this is sometimes a difficult journey to take. Sometimes it's the right one. I do hope that you're following your heart and trusting your instincts, and going with the flow of what you need for yourself. You're very welcome. Thank you for that message. All helpful. I really appreciate that. I do like to be helpful. So let me just clear the cards, and we'll move to Meg next. Thank you so much, Meg. I see your message there. You're here, and general will work for you. Absolutely. Oh, you're very welcome, Alex. Thank you for that message. Just clearing the decks so we can start fresh with new energies, and then I'll charge with Meg, which we'll do a general reading for. And anyone else who may be on the call who may be interested to receive a reading, just let me know. You can write interested in the chat and I will watch for it. Or you can reach out to me through my email, bryantarotreading@gmail.com, or through my website, staffordtarot.com, or through my store's website, soulintention1111.ca. Meg, what I get for you is the Queen of Swords reversed. This is often about indecision, not being able to sit in the Queen of Swords throne for some reason. Often this is about missing information or something that needs to be resolved first. And when you resolve it or gain that knowledge, this card flips around and you're now sitting in that throne making those decisions. Now, swords are about heavy thoughts and intellectual concepts. So this is about making a decision in terms of what's heavy on your mind, something that you've really been thinking about strongly. Now, the difference between queens and kings tend to be more forceful, direct, and there are consequences involved in those kinds of decisions, whereas queens tend to be more nurturing, caring, and they affect the people around you. So just keep that in mind. This is something heavy on your mind that will affect other people, and there's decisions to be made. And it did come out reversed. There's a challenge or something that has to be resolved first before you can make that choice. I do hope that that makes sense. Now I'm going to move to this deck where I'm going to pull 3 cards, and we're going to look at how those cards speak to each other to get the messages you need to hear today. I am keeping this general as you've requested, and I'm just intuitively feeling like I should stop now. So here we go. Cut the deck 3 times. Now, a higher arcana, 2 suits, 2 practical messages. I'm going to work my way to that higher arcana. I have a feeling it's related to where you're at now, but I'll discuss that in a minute. First, I'm going to start with the Queen of Cups. It did not come out reversed. This is often about making emotional decisions or decisions that inflict emotion to make. The Queen is about, as I mentioned, with the Queen of Swords, the Queen of Cups, same thing, about caring, nurturing decisions that affect the people around you, and these are emotional decisions. And so even though I see you needing more information to make this decision in terms of what's heavy on your mind, your heart knows what decision needs to be made. Now, the Ten of Swords reversed is the next card I need to talk about. 10, there's often a repetitive cycle that stands out for me with this card, and that's what's standing out for me today, so I need to mention that. Swords, heavy thoughts, and intellectual concepts. When heavy thoughts pin us down, the card often looks like this. Now, it came out reversed for you, but I feel it important to describe the meaning of the card. You'll understand where I'm coming from. When swords pin us down like this, these are heavy thoughts that are really bogging us down and stopping us from taking action. You can see all the heavy thoughts, what they're doing to this person, quite a grim picture. When it's reversed in the way it came out for you, Meg, it means that you're working through these heavy thoughts. You're lifting these swords out, and the more that you work through these heavy thoughts, the less they're pinning you down, and eventually you'll be able to get up and you'll be freed from these heavy thoughts. But you're still in the process of this, and that's why this has come up. Now, the Chariot card reversed is the next card that I want to talk about. This is the higher arcana, the more important message for you, Meg, and it's suggesting that you need to fix your axle, repair the wagon, or heal the sick horse, or something has to be done for you to get in this race, to win the race. It refers to this as a chariot driver. You know, when the card's like this, the chariot driver is off to the races. He's, you know, everything's fine and he can get in that race and use his skill and talent to win the race. When it's this way, he's got a sick horse, a broken axle, something stopping him from proceeding. And I feel like for Meg, for you, it's about resolving these challenges in order to proceed. Really similar to where you're at in the moment. You know, needing to resolve, get more information, or resolve a challenge in order to make this decision about what's heavy on your mind. I think this decision leads to everything that you're heading towards in the future, the actions that you need to take moving forward. With these two cards being the practical cards, able to make these emotional decisions and working through these heavy thoughts, I think it's just a process that could be what's holding you back. The process of working through your heavy thoughts is what's going to flip this card around. Eventually, you're going to have the right mindset to make these decisions. In the meantime, it looks like this. I do hope that this makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions. I am thinking on how I can extend further. I'm wondering if it would be helpful to look at my heart chakra deck again, simply because it would be, it might be helpful to see what you need for yourself in terms of what's happening here. Thank you for that message there, Meg. Yes, it totally does. I really appreciate that confirmation there. So I'm just focusing on this deck and advice moving forward, what you need to hear for yourself given all of this. Now, two higher arcana cards and a suit. What's interesting about this is that the pattern has flipped. You had two suits and a higher arcana, and now the next three cards are two higher arcana and a suit. I think that this is in the midst of transformation for you, and the advice moving forward is really interesting. I'm going to start with the practical card. It's saying don't move on. Don't move on from something. It's okay to let go. You don't have to carry something with you, but keep things as part of your experience. There could be something that you are moving on from that may be empowering or helpful for you. It reminds me of that expression, you know, the journey is often the lesson itself. When you go through these experiences, even though they may be challenging or really hard, you gain a lot of perspective, a lot of strength, a lot of experience from going through that. Maybe it's to avoid going through it again, perhaps, but there's this calling in this card to not move on from something, and it feels connected to something like that. So you may want to look at the positives in what you've been through as opposed to focusing on the negatives. This is the crown chakra, and the reason why I say that is because of this card coming up next. The crown chakra card is often about the amount of thought we're giving something. If you think of what the crown chakra represents, when it's open too wide, we give something too much thought, that sometimes works against us. If it's closed, we don't give something enough thought, that we can become vulnerable or do things that without thinking or not giving it its full potential thought. So finding that perfect center, that balance, is what this card's all about, and it didn't come out reversed. And so I feel like for you, it means that you're creating this balance. and you have the right mindset perhaps, or you're working through this balance. So not thinking about it too much, not thinking about it not enough, the perfect right amount to think about it. Speaking of balance, we have the balance card coming out next. Now, 14 in numerology breaks down to a 5, which for me is often about a pivotal choice, as I talked about earlier in the previous readings, creating a balance between two aspects of yourself. Now, this card uses the example of like masculine and feminine balance aspects of yourself, but it really doesn't have to represent that. It can be any two aspects of yourself in conflict, perhaps, but creating a balance between them. And I think that's what the card is suggesting for you, Meg. You need to create this balance between yourself, between these two aspects. That kind of tells me that with these two cards being together, this balance that's needed in the crown chakra uh, working out, you're on the right track. You may be creating this balance. It's just needing, you don't want to give up on it. You want to continue that work and keep it up. And just know that sometimes what we've been through can be what empowers us. So try not to move on from uh, whatever it feels like an experience, because what's really standing out for me in the card are the footsteps, almost like it's the path that the person has walked. Does this make sense for you, Meg? Let me know in the chat, in the message, or if you have any questions on what's come up here. I do hope that these messages are helpful. Thank you so much for getting your reading tonight if you received one. And if I missed you, please reach out to me through either my website or my email that I shared earlier. You can always get a hold of me at soulintention1111.ca. Thank you, Meg, for that message there, that this is quite accurate. I really appreciate that feedback, just to know that I'm on the right track in these readings, and I do hope that they serve you well. Check out the next Tarot Talk Live event, which will be happening on, what did I say, on January 13th, 2026, 8 o'clock p.m., where we'll be talking about resolution readings, looking for advice in the cards moving forward. Perfect time to do that at the beginning of a year. And so that's what we'll be looking at. If you have any questions whatsoever, please reach out to me, staffordtarot.com. Thank you so much for watching. Do take care. Appreciate it much. And we'll see you next time. Take good care.